Welcome back to Drew's Review. Today we're going to be talking about the M3 headlight restoration system, kind of what comes in the box and what you're going to need to have already to restore your headlights. Okay, so here, going over the stuff that's in there, this is called the gold pad. It doesn't look very gold to me. It's the P500 one. This is the piece that you need to put into your power drill that you already have. That's the instructions. They're pretty thorough. That is I think they call it the contouring pad or sponge. These are kind of the second more fine grain sandpaper that you're going to be using. You can see it's the P800 if I flip it over the right way. There we go. And I don't remember what they call this. I call it the whetstone because you have to put water on it for it to work. And that's the third stage. And then you got the packet of the rubbing compound. And that's the stuff that you put on the sponge at the very end. So you're going to need to have a power drill. I just have a cheap Black & Decker corded power drill. You're going to need like a microfiber towel. I got this at Dollar General. All these products cost me like $6. It doesn't suggest this, but I got a little filter. I don't want to breathe plastic dust into my lungs. So you also don't want to get the chemical on your skin or in your eyes, it says. So some gloves, and then you'll need the tape to tape off around the outside of your headlights if you care about your paint. I didn't, so I just kind of quickly did it. So these are my headlights. It doesn't really show up as very yellow on this film here, but in real life they're really quite yellow, and you can see how foggy they are. They even look worse in person. So I taped up off camera, but the first step, it says, is to wash the headlight off with some soap and water. Depending on how much stuff you have, I just washed my truck, so there wasn't a whole lot of stuff on the headlight. And this is an '05 Nissan, so these headlights have had plenty of time to yellow. It kind of looks better once it got wet, though. You're going to want to make sure you rinse all that soap off really well. Okay, so once you get it rinsed off and dried thoroughly, because you don't want to use sandpaper on a wet surface, that's not a good idea. You're going to want to get that piece that goes into your drill and attach that. And then use the P500 air quotes gold. It's kind of like the crayon or the Crayola crayon gold color. It's kind of more metallic. In the book it looks yellow in the instructions. So attach that to your drill. It's kind of a Velcro system they've got there. And then using light pressure. Oh yeah, put your mask on. Don't breathe in plastic dust. That's bad for you. Okay, now using light pressure, just kind of go back and forth, it says. And make sure you read the instructions. Now, this part, I thought I did a pretty thorough job. It looked like I got a good thick layer of the outside of the headlight off, which I guess I really did. But it still, to me, I asked a couple people and they didn't really see it, but to me, this driver's side headlight still had a bit of a yellow tinge at the end. And the passenger side one didn't, because I spent a lot more time on this first step of sanding when you're really kind of really getting in there and taking off material. Make sure you get around all the edges. Yeah, at this point, it says you can actually take a rag or something and clean some of the dust out of the sandpaper and make that last longer. But once it stops removing material, switch to sandpaper. But just make sure you remember you have 2 headlights to do, so don't use all your sandpaper on the first one. Getting around all the corners on a square headlight like this is a little difficult. You might have to do some of it by hand. But once it's done, it's very smooth, very smooth. So now you're going to use the P800. That's a much finer grain. And whenever you're removing the old pad, make sure you kind of put your thumb on the edge of it, because the foam part in the middle kind of tries to peel away from the back plate. And that would ruin the whole thing. So as you can see here, this is really important that you wear your mask at this stage. See how fine of dust is coming off that? It was a pretty windy day for me, and I was outside, so I didn't get a whole lot of it on me or near my face, but you definitely don't want to breathe that stuff in your lungs. Take plenty of time on this step. There's quite a few of these pads. If it stops working, change the pad, but you're going to feel it's so buttery smooth after you get this stage done. Here, I'm showing you the pad. So you put your thumb there, and then you peel it away, because it'll pull that back plate up. So now we're switching to the 3000, aka whetstone is what I call it. I didn't find a squirt bottle until I did my second one, so I just had a little cup of water, but you have to put water on it. It says not to use this when it's dry, so you want to keep it wet. And then, yeah. When you're doing it, what you're looking for is kind of a white slurry will come off, and that's kind of removing all of the bits of dust that are kind of stuck in grooves and stuff, and also kind of finishing out the smoothing process. You see me reapplying some water, trying to keep that surface wet, and then just pouring the rest of it on my headlight, which actually worked pretty well. I think I got a better result by just kind of soaking the headlight with it. And there you can see that kind of white slurry coming off, which is exactly what you want. At this point, I was kind of worried because it wasn't getting as clear as I thought it would be at this stage. It still was a little foggy, but once you wipe it down, it's a little bit more clear. There, yeah, it's trying to peel off again. Now, this is the stage that is pretty surprising. That's your sponge. You put that bad boy on there. And this is where you want to put your gloves on, because it says to put kind of a dime-sized dollop in the middle of that pad, and then take your finger with the glove on. The gloves are actually big enough, I was surprised, and kind of smooth that out, because you don't want the cream or whatever it is to kind of fling out whenever you turn the drill on. Now at this stage, I use pretty high speed to buff. The stages before, you don't want to go too high, because it will actually do this thing called smearing, where it kind of melts the plastic and smears a bit of melted plastic across there. Now you can see it is really, really getting clear once I put this on. It was very dramatic to look at that, because you're just like, pow. So this stage also says don't use it dry. I thought it was getting a little bit dry, so I put a little bit extra on. This will have plenty of the solution to do 2 headlights. You could probably do another pair of headlights out of the amount of solution they give you. Trying to get it all worked in there. And then this, you can kind of go over the tape and really get in those corners, because it's not going to damage your paint. But this was probably the most fun out of the whole step, and you can see how dramatic that looks. And at the end of the video, I'll put up a before and after side-by-side picture I took with my phone. Yeah, that is so clear now. So really, this product, I'm going to give it 5 stars. The result you get out of it is how much work that's where I showed where I kind of burnt through the tape there. But the result that you get out of it is how much work you put into it. If you really take your time sanding, you're really going to get all of that yellow surface layer of the plastic off. You're really going to recontour this lens, and it's going to look fantastic. So thank you very much for watching. I definitely suggest, I mean, it's $10. That's the other headlight. It's $10. It's like you have brand new headlights on your vehicle. This is a 13-year-old vehicle, and these look like factory headlights once you're done. So highly recommend buying it. Here's the before and after pictures. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.